I believe very firmly that this action in establishing potential lists for the candidate list is really helping the authorities and also the industry in realizing which chemicals could be next on the line. So thank you very much for the work done. I think it's very important that that this kind of work is driven forward and done in the most serious way. Okay, let me. I can use just this thing here, I suppose.
Yeah,
there is
no.
no.
On the bottom. No,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right. I will bring you the following content today. I will explain you a little bit about the basics. How does REACH promote innovation and substitution? What affects innovation and substitution? How ECHA contributes to substitution and innovation? Innovation then needs predictability, which is another element that industry really needs to be able to substitute and innovate, and then draw some conclusions. Now, of course, we all know that REACH is there in the first place for protecting human health and the environment. That's the main driver, was the main driver of REACH. Of course, it is at the same time also not the only objective. It also is there to stimulate innovation and competitiveness. So let's first look on how to achieve the health and environment objective. So this is done through better knowledge on properties and use of substances, improved communication in the supply chain, better safety and control measures in individual plants, and reducing exposure and hence negative impacts on man and the environment, and then also replacing gradually hazardous substances, very hazardous substances of course, with less hazardous ones. The key drivers in the legislation are not only authorization and restriction, but also registration and supply chain communication. How does this promote innovation and substitution then? REACH and CLP promote substitution by their very design. This is our conviction. There is a suite of tools that will push companies to search for safer alternatives. There is, of course, directly the need for innovation when we are going for instruments like restriction and authorization, but also indirectly when we are having the candidate list, for instance, the CLP inventory information, the registration data, the extended SDS, communication along the supply chain. So there is quite a lot of elements there which actually give signals to companies and give them good information on what to substitute and when. So there is also increased accountability of downstream users, and better public information creates a strong consumer demand for less hazardous substances. This will also stimulate innovation and hence support competitiveness of the industry. So what affects innovation? At a very general level, innovation requires a recognized need by the customer for a new product or a new technology. It needs competent people. It needs technology-driven people that think creatively on how to innovate. Then it needs a relevant technology, R&D, and then it needs financial support. So REACH contributes to innovation by harmonizing the single market, opportunities for improving competitiveness, and facilitating data sharing. We also see in ECHA that there is slowly growing, every year, a growing trend of new substances being registered, and also more requests for R&D, what we call P-ports, for R&D notifications, which allow companies to test out these new technologies. So this is a positive trend. What affects substitution? There's many drivers to substitution. We put here a number of them. Of course, the regulatory environment stimulates substitution, but there are many other reasons why companies substitute. And here you see quite a lot of them put together, going from the economic assessment to the analysis of substitutes, the societal pressure, the legislative environment, communication, qualification of employees, safety aspects, and so on. But what is also important is actually if you are comparing, and I haven't looked at the most recent statistics, but these are statistics from 2012, we're just ranking here the companies that are, according to the competitiveness indexes, ranking very high in Europe in competitiveness, and those that rank high in eco innovation. And you see exactly the same countries that invest heavily in the ecological aspect of their production, in being safe, in promoting safe production. These countries are apparently the most competitive. So there is a correlation there, which doesn't explain everything, but it is interesting to note. How do we, ECHA, contribute to substitution? Well, first of all, we make REACH and CLP work to ensure safe use of chemicals and promote substitution. We also make sure that industry, and in particular SMEs, can fulfill their obligation as efficient as possible. So we have to focus more in the coming years on the small businesses, which are now having to register more in 2018, and will now also having to get to change their classifications of their mixtures, but also they have to prepare safety data sheets on the basis of the safety data sheets they get from their suppliers. They need to pass that on to their customers. There's quite a lot of work going on for SMEs at the moment. And so we are working hard with industry, with the authorities, with the Commission, on developing the right tools for them to comply with these legislations. ECHA does not carry out direct substitution work or give precise advice to companies. Industry is, in our view, the main actor that actually can substitute. Of course, we are providing them tools, we are providing them the information, make it as useful and as present and as accessible as possible, so that they can make the choice of what is best for their business. The general awareness raising is also important in order to create stimulation for substitution. We have issued in April a newsletter entirely devoted to substitution. That was the first time we actually did that we made one newsletter only on one topic. And we presented there a clear series of examples of successful companies that went through substitution of very hazardous substances. We also have developed specific web pages on substitution, and we also worked on webinars in collaboration with stakeholders. What is also important is that we are working very hard on disseminating of the information on chemicals. Like in 2009, we had 600 registrations, and relatively little we have managed at that point in time in dissemination. But look at this now. This is only 5 years later. We have information on registration, on registered substances for over 12,600 substances from over almost 50,000 dossiers, and over 2 million study summaries on properties and effects on chemicals. On the public CNL inventory, we have 117,000 substances and over 6 million notifications. In the ECHA inventory, we have now 106,000 substances. On the candidate list, we have 155 substances. We also have information on active substances and biocidal products, and we have also a list of restricted substances and substances subject to authorization, and substances planned for evaluation by the member states via the core app, and then also respective issues of concern reported on all of them. What we are working very hard on, and that we do very much together with the stakeholders, is reworking our entire dissemination website, Because what we have done so far is we extract the information that comes from these Euclid dossiers. And it's quite difficult to read, I must accept. But the point is that we are now working very hard on to be able next year, at the end of next year, to have an entire evolution on that information and to go for a tiered approach where we will present per substance an info card and provide high-level information to concerned citizens. That will also provide an overview of the main regulatory processes ongoing for that substance. Then, at the next level, we will have a substance brief profile. This will provide information on physical, chemical properties, human health effects, and environmental effects on an individual substance, and provide then also link to source data. And then the third level is the actual source data itself. So in other words, it will be structured in the following way, where on top you have the info card, then you go down if you want to know more and understand more on the science, then you go to the brief profile per substance, where you are interested in seeing the summary for the substance itself. And then if you want to know which registrants contributed what, then you need to go to the source data. So that's what we are now working very hard on in reworking all that data and reworking all the IT that is needed to successfully present these data. So I hope you can bear with me another year until we issue that.